it hit at the right time of television, you know, where, you know, the middle class white anti-hero, you know what I mean? And that's not, I'm not trying to, you know, bring in any kind of, you know, type of show and make any kind of statement other than the fact that basically those are the kind of shows that were going on. They were building up to that. Tony Soprano, Don Draper, all those guys. So it's like, it kind of brought that where you have like a guy who's got flaws and he's, you know, he's got weaknesses and he's got secret dreams and those kinds of things. It was much more character driven. So it was kind of like, you know, that kind of character was coming. There's a lot of people, a lot of characters that had kind of been in the works, and this one kind of hit at exactly the right time of that renaissance, if you want to call it. But it was one of these things where, like, I started saying this maybe about a few days ago, maybe about a week ago. I came up with this thing, sort of an idea, and, you know, forgive me if somebody else has already said it, probably way more eloquently in some article. I know I didn't read it, but I would quote if I did. But I kind of have thought about lately that, like, right now, television is unbelievably creative and so much different than it was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Especially cable television, long-form television, premium cable television. It's almost like it is embodying everything that the independent film sort of embodied in the 90s. Character-driven, great story, great script, sort of renegade filmmaking, sort of strong point of view from its auteur, whatever that would be, whether it be director or writer. You know, strong point of view, very not glossy. It's got this feeling of being very real, being very honest, being not slick, you know, and accessible to, you know, people in their, you know, secret, you know, when they're in the car on their own and some of their secret thoughts that they're thinking of. These are the things that a lot of shows, you know, are touching on now. A lot of this work that's being done now. That's kind of what the spirit of the independent film was in the 90s. Except for now, we can tell 60-hour stories, not just 2-hour stories, which is fantastic. So I absolutely love, you know, where where cable television is going. And Breaking Bad was one of the, you know, the early ones, you know. I mean, and Breaking Bad also was one of the ones that for the most part, and this is not to call attention to other people's shows, but for the most part, I think people were very satisfied with. You know, there were controversial finales and, you know, things that were getting canceled too early or things like that, where Breaking Bad, luckily, got to start and end, and they also got to do it on the filmmaker's terms. He really wanted to play to an end, and that's a concept that definitely was not going on in television until, God, not too long ago. You know, and I don't want to put words in Vince Gilligan's mouth, but I believe that he was talking about when the Lost guys got to play, you know, to write to an end. He was like, I want to write to an end. And I think he might have gotten a little bit of flack from it, you know, with the studio and the network, you know, but that's because, you know, they were, you know, they're thinking, you know, in the old way. And now you've got people who are developing series and they're like, look, this is it. Or what they can do now, too, is they can say, they're going to do a 13-episode arc, and that's it. And if it gets done, then they've finished. But if it goes another, then, you know, they can do another. Some people now are doing that specifically. They're like, look, we're going to form a show, and it can be on for however long. But you know what? This story is only going to be for 13. It's only going to be for one season. So, I mean, in that way, I think that, you know, Breaking Bad was, you know, I guess a pioneer, I suppose, in that. But really, it was more about it's a very character-driven drama, and it also, with the style that it used, it also showed that, you know, you don't have to be in always tight close-ups, and you can let things play out, and you can be more cinematic. For God's sakes, everybody's got a 50-inch plus television at home now. Why not?